Hi, I'm Dave Herb, your Washington, D.C. tour guide. Welcome back to Washington, D.C. Today we're going to talk about the organization of the district and whether or not it's really a city or how is it organized? Well, we are standing in front of the John A. Wilson Municipal Building. That's located at 1315 Pennsylvania Avenue Northwest. It's the seat of the government for the District of Columbia. You notice it's a beautifully ornate building. It's in the Beaux-Arts style, and we are standing on the other side of Freedom Plaza, which is in between us and the John Wilson building. Let's go over there and take a closer look. Okay, we're on the other side of the street now, and one of the figures represented on the outside of the John A. Wilson building is Alexander Roby Shepard, Boss Shepard. We'll get into him a little bit. Let's orient ourselves a little more, see what's across the street. There's Freedom Plaza, Marriott Hotel. The big building you see there, with the tallest building in the middle, is the Willard Hotel, where Abraham Lincoln spent the night before his inauguration, where Harriet Beecher Stowe wrote the Battle Hymn of the Republic. It's also where the term lobbyist derived from, because President Grant would talk about how people seeking political favor would meet in the lobby of that hotel. And then beyond that, to the right, is the U.S. Treasury building. On the other side of that Treasury building out of view is the White House. But let's get back to our Alexander Roby Shepard. You may recall in our last video we talked about how at the end of the Civil War, Washington, the District of Columbia, had fallen into disarray, and how under the Organic Act of 1871, the former cities of Georgetown, of the city of Washington, which is downtown Washington, and the surrounding area known as the County of Washington, were merged into the newly formed District of Columbia. It had been the territory of Columbia up to that point. This man, Boss Shepard, as he's affectionately known, had a lot to do with that. He wanted to make the city better, and he saw that consolidating these different governments and putting them under one jurisdiction would be a step in that direction. So he lobbied for the position of governor of this newly created district. He didn't get it at first, but he was appointed as a position on the powerful Public Works Commission, and the governor was actually a friend of his who didn't attend many meetings and kind of let Boss Shepard run the show until he was appointed governor in 1873. Now, if you remember, up till right after the Civil War, the Congress was talking about moving the capital to St. Louis because it was pitiful. It was a mess. The canals had turned into, sewers that reeked. The streets were muddy quagmires. The sidewalks were wooden sidewalks. The housing was dilapidated. There were actually pigs. I do a pretty good pig. And cows grazing on the National Mall. All the influx of people, the soldiers, the bureaucrats, all the people that moved here to work here, the freed slaves. It was just too many people for the government to handle. So Boss Shepard got himself eventually appointed governor, and he is known as the father of modern Washington. And he put in over 100 miles of paved streets and sidewalks, over 100 miles of sewer lines. He filled in the canals. He put in miles of water lines and gas lines. He planted 60,000 trees. He brought Washington up to speed, but he ran roughshod over some people. When he graded a street, your house could end up where your front door is 15 feet above the street. Quite a drop. Or you might find out your second floor window is at street level. He didn't really consult or work well with others. He just plowed ahead and did whatever he thought needed to be done. There's a building in particular that he thought needed to be torn down, an old market building, and there was a group that was trying to get an injunction from a judge to stop that demolition. Well, he had somebody take that judge out on a carriage ride, and while the judge was gone and unable to receive that injunction, actually had the building torn down, and somebody inside that building died. So, he didn't work well with others, but he got the job done. But the problem was his budget. He was given about a $6.25 million budget, and by the time he was done, it went $13 million over budget. So almost $20 million he spent to beautify Washington, D.C. and bring it up to speed, or the District of Columbia as it's known. At that time, Congress then was a gas. Remember, there was the Panic of 1873. The economy was not that good. So they did away with his position and put in 3 commissioners to govern, appointed by Congress to govern the district from that day forward. Now, the original question in this video, is the district governed here in the Wilson Building actually a city? Not really. It's more of a city-state. It's responsible for many things states are responsible for. It's responsible for professional licensing, for lottery, for mental health, for driver's licensing, for birth certificates. Anything you can think of that a state has to do, the district has to do. So it's really more of a city-state, the District of Columbia, than a city. We'll get into the organization of the government in future videos. Eventually, during the Nixon administration, the city was able to get its own mayor and have some home rule. But, they still have Congress looking over their shoulders, and we'll talk about that next time. Hope you really enjoyed this video. If you like it, comment below or subscribe to my page, and we'll be in touch shortly. Thanks.